Aboro aboye. Initiation is not the solution to the African American problem. It is not. By extension, medicines, charms, titles, no, those are not the solution to the African American problem. Now, I can't say what's happening in Cuba or what's happening in Brazil or what's happening in Nigeria or what's happening in Dahomey. I can't say that. But I can tell you with complete confidence that initiation is not the solution to our problem. Okay? This is the School of Orisha Studies, and I am your instructor, Obafemi Origunwa. Today's lesson is on problem solving. There's a great quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein, wherein they ask him, if you only had 1 hour to solve the problems of the world, what would you do? And Einstein is said to have responded that if he only had an hour to solve the problems of the world, he would spend 50 minutes defining the problem and 10 minutes implementing the solution. So before we can go off trying to solve problems, we have to define the problems very clearly. And Ifa does not define the collective problem of African Americans. It does not, right? Now, let me give you an analogy. I'm going to explain to you what I mean by this. I have been a babalawo for years. I have cast Ifa for 1,000 people. That's a figurative number, but I've cast Ifa for 1,000 people, and 99.8% of those people have been African Americans. Almost all my clients are African Americans. And so I'm going to give you an analogy to help you understand what I see based on my work. Also, I'm going to expand that by saying I've dedicated a considerable amount of time to working directly in my community, not as a babalawo, but as a teacher, as a counselor, as an activist. Okay? I come from a family of people who have done the same thing 4 or 5 generations back. This is what, my family has been dedicated to education and community service for generations. Okay, so I'm accumulating all of this experience and collective wisdom, institutional wisdom of my lineage to make these statements. Okay, what I have seen can be broken down into an analogy. Let's say, for example, you have an apartment building, and in this apartment building, there are 8 units. In these 8 units, all African American people live. In Unit 1, you got a 27-year-old lady who's got 2 children. She works for the county, And in Unit number 2, you've got a guy who's a day laborer. He does some construction and light carpentry. Got a little hustle on the side. Maybe he's about 35, never married, no children. Unit number 3, you got a couple in their 40s. They've got 3 children in college, and on and on. You just got the full spectrum of African American families and African American culture, right? Now, all 8 of these people have come to visit me as the babalawo, right? I live across the street, and one by one, over the course of a year, all of them have come to see me, and they've all cast Ifa. I've cast Ifa for all of them, right? And when I cast Ifa for number 1, number 2, number 3, the situation is the same. Hey, you got money problems. Number 2, oh, you got a money problem. Number 3, you got a money problem. On and on. All of them have a money problem, right? Based on what Ifa says, number 1, you should get initiated to Ifa. And you should have Orisha Ajay. Number 2, you should be initiated to Ogun and worship Orisha Ajay. Number 3, you should be initiated to Ifa. Number 4, you should be initiated to Oshun. Number 5, on and on. That based on what the Odu say, each one of them should be initiated to something, and they should have some variety of charms and medicine. Okay, it's all fair. It's all good. That is legitimate, proper practice and protocol. All right. But by now, your mind should be already clicking. You should know where I'm going with this. Right? Oh, okay, I get it, Baba. I understand. Right? All of them have money problems. And let's say they're all paying $1,000 rent. Right? So they're paying $1,000 to the same guy. They're putting $1,000 into this one bank account every single month. $8,000 every single month, but they all have money problems. Okay? So my observation as the Babala was that, okay, hey, look, how about you take your money and you pool it? How about we strategize what we're going to do with this money so that you can all benefit from it? All of you. You can get the money that you need, right? That would require, however, that the 8 of them share some kind of a common bond. They have to identify with one another on some level in order for them to be able to say, we are now going to come to Ifa as a group and we want to solve this problem. We want to buy this building that we live in, for example. Now Ifa is going to be speaking in a radically different way. And if she comes and he comes and they come and he comes and they come, that's a totally different setup. Okay? From all of them coming together to say, we all know what our problem is. So that's the very first thing. In solving the problem, you got to acknowledge, well, what's the problem? Right? Next, you identify the resources right at hand. What do I have at my disposal to solve this problem? Well, there are other people who also share the same problem as me. They want to solve this problem just as urgently as I do. They need money to do all these different things just as much as I do. Right? Then there's communication. Let's talk. Let's talk. This is my problem. What's your problem? Okay? Then once you've talked and everybody is on the same page, now it's a question of collectivizing. You come together to say, okay, now let's go to the place where we can all get that problem solved. That is how you solve a problem. Not just going individually and casting Ifa here, casting Ifa there, getting initiated there. No. That is not going to solve the problem. That's going to complicate your problem. All right? So within the School of Orisha Studies, what we're doing is we're helping to facilitate that process of self-discovery. The first thing is for you to really get clear about what's my problem, really. What's my problem? That's the first thing. And how can I solve that problem? On some level, how can I solve that problem? And then how can I join forces with other people and we can work together to define all the details and the nuances and the subtleties of that problem so we can really get clear about what is happening in our lives and what the source of the problem. See, because what we're doing is as long as we stay as individuals and one is going in the other, what we're basically doing is we're dealing with symptoms. Okay? I know for the individual it may seem like I'm going to the root. Right? But my individual assessment of my own personal situation only represents a symptom, right, for the group. So the problem of a particular sort of an economy will manifest as a symptom within my life in one way. It will manifest as a symptom in her life in another way. But the cause is the same. It'll manifest as a symptom in their life, in this couple's life, in another way. So each individual thinks that they're really solving a problem, but they're really only addressing a symptom. It's only when they come together that they realize, oh, the cause of this problem is the same thing. I'll give you another analogy very briefly. Let's say it's a health problem. All 8 of them come and they cast Ifa. Ifa says, you got a health problem, you got a health problem, you got a health problem, all 8 of you have a health problem. Well, you need to get initiated, and you need to get initiated, and you need to get initiated. That's going to solve your individual health problem. Okay. But in reality, they're all drinking the same water. All 8 of them are drinking the same water. And the water is the cause of the problem. It manifests as one health problem for her, and another health problem for him, and another health problem for the elders, and another health problem for the little children. All of them are going to exhibit different symptoms, and they can solve or address those symptoms one by one. But until they really get clear about the fact that the source of their problem is that water, they're just addressing symptoms. They're rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. They're not really solving their problem. Okay? But I, as the person who's treating them all, can say, you know what? I've seen all 8 of you, and you all have the same problem. How about you get together and talk? Okay? And so that's part of what we're doing. We're helping you to get in touch with your own spiritual experience and your own spiritual journey to the point that you can talk to other people. Before you can even talk to other people, that you can acknowledge it and recognize, this is my problem. This is what I'm suffering from. And then be able to articulate it in a way that other people will be able to understand and hear and say, hey, I got the same kind of problem. And then we can go together as a group to consult Ifa. And Ifa will say, this is your collective problem. Okay? So one of the ways that we do this within the School of Orisha Studies is through the Itadogun. The Itadogun is a bi-weekly divination for the group, where we collectively get together to say, hey, let's ask Ifa what is going on. And Ifa will articulate a message specifically for us as a body, and then we can go about the business of solving that problem as a group. Okay? So problem solving cannot be effective until you define the problem. And defining the problem is a methodical step-by-step process. Aboru aboye. Aboshishe.